Hey, please give it up really loud for our next storyteller, BrandonSpars, everyone. Brandon, come on up here.
So about 30 years ago, I was on a ferry boat from the island of Sumatra to the island of Bali, which should have taken about 30 hours. When I entered the hold, there in capital letters read a sign, maximum capacity 50. I stopped counting passengers at 150. But at the time, I chuckled. This is part of what I found so thrilling, liberating even, about living in Indonesia, where there is a total disregard for technicalities, such as maximum capacity. Well, about 6.5 hours into the trip, it happened. What happens when you have 150 people on a boat that's only supposed to hold 50? The toilet jams. Now, the toilet was little more than a hole in the deck leading through a sewer pipe right down into the ocean. When I tried to use the water closet, I couldn't even see the hole. It was covered completely by a mound of human sewage. She caught my attention as she paced to and fro in front of the water closet. She was young and pretty. She wore a shimmering white gown with a matching hijab. I knew she had to go to the bathroom. And finally, she slipped in. Now, when two waves meet, they don't cancel each other out. They add together. It's simple physics. There must have been a wave from the front and a wave from the stern, and they met right under that sewer pipe. Dug, dug, whoosh. The door of the water closet was nearly blown off its hinges. And a briny mist filled the hold. All of the passengers groaned and began to cough and gag. But then, coming from the mist, no longer white, was the woman. I remember how she stood there, totally still, her arms outstretched, her mouth a cavernous hole and a gob of sewage, hung down and finally connected to the lower lip. Then she began to wail. "Ah!" And some of the passengers rushed to try to assist her, but whoa! Bowel movements covered her like a pestilence of leeches. In a total panic, and probably just trying to seek help, she began to come at us. "Ah!" And when she drew near, all of the passengers surged to the other side of the hold, whereupon, like a reanimated corpse, she slowly turned around and began a new approach. "Oh!" And when she drew near, we did the same thing. We surged back over to the other side. And slowly she pivoted around and just kept coming. What we didn't realize was what was happening up at the helm of the ship. With 150 people going from one side of the boat to the other and then back, we had completely overpowered the steering system, causing us to spiral dangerously off course. No one had ever experienced it before, but we all knew what was happening when it did. There was a terrible grating sound, and the entire boat began to shiver. And then we lurched to a complete standstill. We had run aground. Now, eventually, we had to be rescued by another boat, which took us to a town on the coast of Java, where an article about us appeared in the local paper. The headline read, "Passengers call for stricter enforcement of maximum capacity limits." What was interesting was there was a statement in the article by the indignant ferry captain. He said that he was totally angry that there had been 150 people. He had done this many times before with many more passengers. What was wrong here was that these passengers were particularly full of shit. He answered their complaints with an appeal of his own, that passengers should be required to go to the bathroom before boarding the ship. And his plight should serve as a warning to captains around the world. Well, in the last 30 years, Indonesia has come into full compliance with all rules and regulations. And me, far from seeing it as thrilling or liberating, now view the disobeying of any warning sign as a failure in imagination. For in every warning, there is wisdom. And under wisdom, there is always experience. And whether a sign reads maximum capacity 50 or passengers must shit before boarding, I remind myself that under every one of these signs, there is some kind of truth or some kind of unimaginable story. Thank you very much.